Ever feel like you're uh, shouting into the wind online, trying to create content when you're juggling everything else, and maybe don't have a huge budget?
Yeah, it's a common struggle, right? Time, resources, they always feel tight.
Exactly. Well, today we're diving into how one person is tackling that, kind of leveling the playing field using tools that are actually pretty accessible.
Yeah, we're looking at a listener's own experience, someone who's really in the thick of it, using AI and other creative platforms.
It's based on their personal reflections, what it's actually like using these digital tools day to day.
So the mission really is to see how these tools might be, well, democratizing creativity a bit, making it easier for individuals to get their ideas out there.
Okay, so let's jump in. The first thing that really stands out is this creator's reliance on one particular platform, Canva.
Oh, yeah. It's clearly central. They don't just use Canva, they call it their everything. That's quite a statement.
There really is not just like a tool they use sometimes, but the absolute core,
The hub, it sounds like, for a whole range of things, too.
right? Not just the usual social media posts. They're making videos in Canva,
Yeah.
designing templates,
Yeah.
even templates they sell.
Wow, okay. So it's really become this indispensable platform for them.
Totally. What does that tell us about how these platforms are evolving?
Well, it shows how much consolidation is happening. Platforms like Canva aren't just for graphic design anymore. They've added video editing, template marketplaces,
Wow.
all sorts of stuff. So for someone trying to manage multiple projects, having it all in one place, that's a huge efficiency boost. Makes sense it would become their everything.
Yeah, definitely saves time bouncing between different apps.
Hmm.
Okay, but creation isn't just about the final product, right? You need ideas,
Yeah,
inspiration.
absolutely. The starting point.
And our creator, they have what they call a secret weapon squad for
Yeah.
that, which is basically AI.
Hmm. This is where it gets interesting. They specifically mention Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude AI.
And they call them brainstorming buddies,
You.
like partners.
Exactly. Witty writers behind the scenes was another phrase they used. It suggests these AI tools aren't just, calculators for words, but active collaborators.
Helping generate ideas, draft scripts.
Yeah, overcoming that initial hurdle. These are large language models trained on vast amounts of text, so they're pretty good at generating human-like responses and ideas based on prompts.
So it kind of shifts how we think about AI in the creative process, doesn't it? Less of a replacement, more of a
That's good.
collaborator.
Yeah. It can help break through that initial block, get some ideas down.
Does that change what it means to be creative, though?
That's the big question, isn't it? Maybe. Maybe it frees up the human creator to focus more on the unique bits, the personal angle, the refining, the overall vision, steering the AI rather than starting from scratch every time.
Interesting thought. Okay, so you've got your script, maybe with AI help. Now you need the voice. Our creator uses 11 Labs for that.
Right, 11 Labs, that's a tool specifically for generating voiceovers.
And the key thing seems to be the quality.
Yeah, they highlight that it allows for really professional sounding audio. You don't need a fancy microphone or a, naturally booming radio voice.
Or a soundproof studio.
Exactly.
Right.
It takes away a lot of those traditional barriers to creating good audio content, like having a voice actor on call.
Yeah, pretty powerful. But what I also liked was the creator's honesty. They admit their stuff isn't perfect, maybe a little rough around the edges.
That's important.
Why do you think that honesty resonates?
Well, it makes the whole thing feel more achievable, doesn't it? It says, look, perfection isn't the goal, especially when you're starting. The point is to create, to share, to learn as you go.
And these tools make that learning as you go process much easier.
Precisely. Lower barrier to entry. Less intimidating.
Which leads perfectly into this idea they mentioned, the no money, no problem aspect.
Ah, yes, the power of free. This is crucial.
They specifically list the free versions of Canva, Gemini, ChatGPT, and Claude AI, calling them the ultimate starter pack.
And that really drives home the democratization point we talked about earlier. You can actually produce significant stuff without spending a dime initially.
It's really encouraging. You don't need to invest hundreds or thousands up front. Just start.
Use the free tools, learn the ropes, build from there. It removes that financial barrier that stops so many people.
But, okay, they do also talk about upgrading, specifically
Yep.
Canva Pro.
Right. So while free is great to start, there comes a point where investing a bit can significantly level up your work, as they put it.
They used a great analogy. Free is like a bicycle, pro is like a spaceship. So what are the spaceship features?
Huh. Well, according to them, it unlocks a lot more resources, millions of stock photos and videos. for starters, more premium templates.
Okay, so better building blocks.
Yeah, and some really handy features like the magic resize button. That's a huge time saver if you're posting on multiple platforms. And the background remover tool, things that just streamline the workflow.
So Pro is for when you're getting more serious, need more efficiency, maybe want that more polished look.
Exactly. It's the next logical step if you find yourself hitting the limits of the free version and you're ready to invest in your creative output.
Makes sense. Now, why did this creator share all this? What was their motivation?
It seems to be purely about inspiration. They basically say, hey, if someone like me who feels slightly chaotic and is just learning as I go can do this,
Then anyone can.
pretty much. It's
Mhm.
about overcoming those feelings of inadequacy or thinking you need fancy gear or a big budget.
Yeah, that if I can do it, you can too.
Yeah.
Message is always powerful. Don't let those perceived limits stop you.
Right. Just try it out.
Okay, so beyond that core set of tools, they also mention a couple more AI platforms, Leonardo AI and Microsoft Copilot. What about those?
So Leonardo AI gets singled out for images, creating visuals.
Like AI-generated images.
Yeah, exactly. Text-to-image generation, concept art, that kind of thing. They mentioned it's good for podcast visuals, cover art, social media images.
And is that accessible too,
Yeah.
cost-wise?
Apparently, yes. It offers a daily allowance of free credits 150, they said. So you can generate a decent number of images each day without paying.
Okay, so another tool for the free or low-cost starter pack, potentially.
Mhm.
Good for adding that visual flair,
Seems like it. And then there's Microsoft Copilot.
right? Copilot. What's its strength?
Well, it's also strong on text generation scripts, summaries, similar to ChatGPT or Gemini. But the user also highlighted its usefulness for research,
Research. How so?
like helping gather information on a topic, maybe analyzing trends. That could be really valuable for content planning, staying relevant.
Yeah, digging deeper into your subject matter. I can see that.
And they also mentioned it potentially helping with like creative collaboration and even drafting promotional stuff.
Okay. And being Microsoft, I guess it integrates well if you're already using their other apps.
That's another point they made, yeah. For users in the Microsoft ecosystem, it could create a smoother workflow.
So we're seeing a picture emerge of different tools for different jobs. How might someone use, say, Copilot and Leonardo AI together?
The suggestion was pretty practical. Use Copilot for the words, the script, the research, the summaries,
Okay.
and then use Leonardo AI for the pictures, creating visuals that match and enhance the text content.
Right, a synergistic approach.
Yeah.
Text from one, visuals from the other. Makes sense.
You get a more complete, engaging package that way.
Definitely. And fittingly, our listener doesn't just share their experience. They want to hear from others, too. They ended with a question for everyone listening.
Ah, yes. The call to action. They asked, what are your favorite creative tools? Spill the beans. Let's inspire each other.
I like that. Building a community around these tools, sharing tips.
Yeah, it's a great way to crowdsource knowledge and keep the inspiration flowing.
So wrapping up this deep dive then, the big takeaway really feels like empowerment, right?
Absolutely. These AI tools, these user-friendly platforms like Canva, they're genuinely making it easier for individuals to create and share.
You don't necessarily need that huge budget or, years of technical training anymore.
The barrier to entry is significantly lower. Free and low-cost options provide a really solid foundation to just get started, experiment, find your voice.
It removes a lot of the old excuses, maybe.
Could be. It puts the power to create more directly into people's hands.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Think about that creative itch you might have, that project idea sitting on the back burner because it felt too complicated or too expensive to start. Could these tools we've talked about today be the key, the thing that helps you finally unlock that potential, or just simplify something you've been putting off? Maybe now's the time to, give it a shot.